Hello, my name is Raresh, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to escape the skinny fat physique, the skinny fat curse. Now, the problem is that if you don't have a good plan, you are going to end up fat or skinny, which both of those outcomes are bad. So here we go. What should you do? Right now you don't have enough muscle mass to be strong or big, but you have enough fat to have a blurry physique. You don't have any veins or slightly at all, and you don't have any muscle definition. What do? Are you going to go in a deficit where you put less muscle mass, and of course you are going to get leaner to show what you don't have enough muscle mass? Are you going to go in a big surplus, so you are going to get bigger but fatter? I've seen both of those outcomes play out, and they are horrible. So what should you do? Well, a slight surplus. You need to eat enough calories where you gain 0.25 kilograms per week. So after a month, 28 to 30 days, you gain roughly 1 kilogram per month. Why such a small surplus, you will ask? Because we are trying to get far from the deficit, knowing that you are going to put less muscle on a deficit. Of course, the difference is not that big if you are in a 50 calorie deficit or whatever, but it's easy to lose fat and you can lose it fast. But to add muscle mass, it's a slow process. And in my opinion, I would rather maintain my body fat levels while I put muscle mass, or slightly add body fat instead of remaining skinny, because you can lose 20 kilos of fat in 20 weeks, but you cannot put 20 kilograms of muscle mass in 20 weeks, even with all the drugs in the world. If you're a beginner and use 10 grams of performance enhancing drugs and growth hormone and whatever you want, you may gain that weight, but it's not muscle. So I'm going to give you an example. You are 60 kilograms, 5'9", 5'8", whatever, 175, 178 centimeters, and you do 10,000 steps a day and you have 60 kilos. You don't have visible abs, you don't have veins, you are weak. What should you do? Well, if you don't know your maintenance calories, let's say you start at 2,500 calories and after a month you didn't gain any weight, you are still at 60 kilograms. I will add 100 calories and see how your weight goes from there. If after a month you didn't gain close to 1 kilogram, like 0.7, 0.8, 1 kilogram, after a month you should add another 100 calories until you are at a point where you gain constantly 1 kilogram per month of body weight. Now, in the worst case, you are going to maintain your body weight, which is cool. We are far from a deficit and we can maximize muscle growth. Now, I know you want to see fast results. People get addicted to this. Even I get addicted to these fast results, but I understand it logically and I do everything in my power to get good and maintainable results. As an example, every time in the past I used to do a cut, I did it for around 12 weeks where I lost around like 0.7 to 1 kilogram of body weight per week for 12 weeks, which equals out to 9 to 12 kilograms in 12 weeks. Then I went into a reverse diet and a slight surplus and so on. Unfortunately, my surpluses were close to 500 calories, even if I intended to make them for to be around 300 calories. I gained 2 kilograms per month for 8 months or so for many bulks, and I got too fat. I will never do that again. Even if you are using performance enhancing drugs, 2 kilograms per month is too much. Just if you use a lot of drugs or you have a very good genetic and you put a lot of muscle mass, but that's not you. So let's slow the weight gain a little bit, so at least you can make sure most of it is muscle mass. And what's the problem with gaining a lot of fat? You can enjoy food, you are going to get bigger. Of course you can do that. You can enjoy food, but at some point you are going to not like food, and that's not a problem. But you know what happens? Yeah, you gain 20 kilograms. You gain 4 kilos of muscle mass, 5 kilos of muscle mass, and 15 of fat. And now I have to do a 16 to 20 week diet where I cry my balls out For what? Because I wanted to gain 2 kilos per month? I don't care how much I gain per month. I want to build muscle mass. And of course, you should try it for your own self. You should gain 1 kilogram per month, 2 kilograms per month. You should do a small surplus, a big surplus, a small deficit, a big deficit. Experiment yourself, but that takes time. This video is made for people who had just started out, or they started and they were not serious from the start. So the point that I'm trying to get, of course, you have to make your own choices and understand that after you see some research, you see people online saying stuff, and you try it for your own self, and then you choose whatever you are going to do. Because maybe for you may be an outlier, and 2 kilograms per month of weight gain is perfect for you. 1 kilogram is putting you in a small deficit, who knows? But for the majority of people, 1 kilogram per month, 0.25 per week, it's enough. What is the argument behind getting 1 kilogram per month of body weight? Because it's so little, you cannot track it. Of course, water fluctuation is real, and by week to week it's hard to track 0.25 kilograms. But after a month, if you hadn't gained 1 kilogram, you add 100 calories. Now, in the worst case scenario, you were at maintenance to a slight deficit, 100 calories, but you are not in a slight deficit if you hadn't lost weight. Of course, you can recompense. In that case, you don't lose weight, you add muscle and you lose fat, but that's not a problem. What I try to avoid is avoid getting fat, because I got fat too many times and it's disgusting. You don't like food. Of course, you are stronger in the gym, but you look like absolute dog shit. And I'm going to do a cut for 12 or 16 weeks just to have barely visible abs. That's shit, you know? That's very bad. Right now, on my last bulk, I could barely see my abs. I lost 12 kilograms and I was decently lean. After that, I gained around 6 or 7 kilograms, which most of them were muscle mass. And right now I am on a cut again, and I want to do it for more than 16 weeks, probably. And right now I am 77 kilograms. And this time I'm going to get lean. Not a little bit lean, because I've had my time where I train at a surplus, at a big surplus, at a small surplus, and so on, and I have the muscles. Now I can get lean. But somebody who doesn't have the muscle mass should not do a deficit, in my opinion. Now, you can do a slight deficit, but if you are 175 centimeters and you are like 60 kilograms without visible abs, you should not be in a deficit, in my opinion. You should be at maintenance to a slight caloric surplus. Again, not so big that majority of the weight you gain is fat, because I have a friend who have done that. I've done it myself. Of course, he was gaining too much weight and he got absurdly fat. I didn't get absurdly fat. I was getting 2 kilograms per month, which in my opinion, after 10 months, I didn't, for 10 months when I was from 56 to 76 kilograms or so, I could say that like my first bulk was 50-50, you know, 10 kilograms of muscle mass, 10 kilograms of fat, or 12-13 kilograms of fat to 7 to 8 kilograms of muscle. But those were my newbie gains. That's where they ended. Now, if I wanted to do something similar, I will go for a slower weight gain, because it doesn't make sense. And in the future, probably, I don't know what will happen, but maybe I will go for a even slower weight gain, because if you are at maintenance calories, you are going to get the most amount of muscle mass you can, and you should try to avoid deficits while you try to add as much muscle as you can. I'm not saying you cannot put muscle in a deficit, but if you have to put your money, you will choose to be closer to maintenance than closer to a deficit to add the most amount of muscle that you can get. And in the end, listen, if you do a fat loss phase, the goal is to remain around that body fat. Why should you cut? Why should you suffer so much to be fat again? Imagine working your whole life or a few years to become a millionaire, then spending your money and then doing that all over again. Why? when you become lean once, maintain that. And in the worst case, you are going to get 4 to 5 kilograms away from your most lean physique, in my opinion. And that's like a 4-week aggressive cut or like 6 weeks of cutting slowly. Like, come on, that's easy peasy. But if you go more than 5 kilograms of fat from your leanest physique that you want to have, you are going to make your life harder. Most successful bodybuilders who are going in hard bulks, they're just going to do what? You can see big bodybuilders getting 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds in the off season, and the weight on stage, it's literally the same or 2 pounds more. So you tell me you need to gain 50 pounds, 25 kilograms almost of body weight for 2 pounds of muscle mass, for 1 pound of weight, of stage weight. For what? So again, experiment yourself, but in my opinion, this is what you should do, and this is what I will for sure do after I finish my cut. Thank you for watching, and I hope you like the new format.